Dr. Brian here with H60 Lifestyle. I wanted to thank you guys for tuning in. And today I have a entrepreneurial friend and a very lovely lady, as you could probably see if you're watching on YouTube. If not, you're going to get to meet her over the airways. Her name is Stephanie Wheat, and she has a story to tell. She's the CEO owner of Rebellion Handbags. And I got to be honest, as soon as my wife and daughters seeing that you own this, Stephanie, they had to go Google you. So now I'm going to have to, I guess we'll be buying some handbags from you. So thank you, Steph, for being here.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, sorry. That just is the way that it goes.
Now, it'd be cool if you had like some fishing gear or hunting gear that you did, but you had to have handbags, so that's okay.
Right, I know, it's so funny, but I have seen people wear my handbags like on horses and on snowmobiles, and so I love those photographs when people send me something where they're doing something really outdoorsy with my beaver bag on or something.
Right, Well, hey, thanks for being here. And you and I have talked in the past a little bit on some things. So I have some cheat notes about you. So, and I want you to unpack some of this, but obviously, like I said, you're the CEO of Rebellion Handbags, but you've also studied physics in college and everything else. Then you were afraid of flying, so you got your airline pilot's license. Then you went and got your commercial airline pilot's license. You're also a yogi, and I seen you on YouTube or Instagram doing a handstand. And at our age, our ass is not supposed to be above our head on purpose at times. So what are you doing? So tell me about yourself.
Oh, okay, well, you've got to understand one thing. Like, the thing I love doing most, and I don't know why it is, but it's like I want to go upside down. I want to do splits. I want to do like all of this stuff that's very childlike, right? So I'm not childish, but there's a fine line, Brian. I feel like I literally resonate in between the two lines, and try to stay there and live my life there. So thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited about having this conversation with you because I want to get to know you more too, but sure, I'll talk about me.
Well, this is about you, Steph. So, so what I really wanted to talk to you about is for the H60 lifestyle. We have I think I alluded to you in our other little quick chat we had, is I've had nothing but men entrepreneurs on, and these big alpha guys and muscles and all that. And my wife and some of the other listeners and people that are participating said, hey, where's the women entrepreneurs, the ones that are breaking out of that stereotypical role of not working 9 to 5, and they're following their dreams and they're opening their own businesses. So that's why I wanted to bring you on and talk to you a little bit more about that.
Awesome, I love it. Yeah, I don't know what it is about me, but I tend to find myself in circles where there's a lot of testosterone all the time. And I literally, I'm going to tell you a funny story, but I come across, I think, as feminine, but in my mind, I always thought that I was very much a tomboy. And I mean, I guess, these very big ranges of, things that I enjoy to do. But I definitely am a grounded, I like to get out, and like you said, fishing was my number one first love. So I'm really super an outdoors kind of person. I just ended up in fashion, but I certainly have been kind of all over the place. I personally love the journey of yoga and where it's taken me. That between that and meditation, which is a form of yoga, I've been doing meditation for 30 some years and started taking yoga about 15 years ago. Immediately was like, I'm going to teach this. So it's been an interesting journey. I want to say that I've just kind of accidentally landed in all of these different types of passions and interests. It's I'm always looking for something new, and like you, wanting to learn more and wanting to impact people's lives. And so I love what you're doing here with H60, because I think from what I gathered about it, just initially, and with taking a quick look on the site, it feels like you're trying to help people get to a very holistic approach to finding a wholehearted centered life, so that you have this identity, for me, I don't have like just one identity. I feel like I have so many different parts to my personality, and I don't have one part that I like literally feel most connected to other than woman and mom. But even those roles, my son just went away to college, and I literally didn't cry at all. Like there's been no tears. I didn't even really miss him for like a month and a half, or it was almost 2 months. And I called him and I said, so strange, because I talk to him every day, but I said, so strange, like this has been so easy. And he's like, yeah, it's been easy for me too. It's like really weird, but we're super close. But that identity of mom didn't hold such a prominent place in my life that it was the only thing I connected to. So I think what you're doing here with this program, or what I'm intuiting you're doing with it, is helping people to see that there are so many different areas in our lives that we need to focus on in terms of being, what I like to say, healthy and wealthy in all ways.
Yes.
And many times people focus so much on this push to go to do a specific thing. And I see that a lot, like in sort of the testosterone driven groups that I find myself in, that there's a lot of push to go. And I kind of like the idea of receding too. So that part of the yoga experience where you're practicing pushing and then allowing yourself to be, a part of that wave that kind of has to recede sometimes.
Yep.
So that's the part of the puzzle that I like to bring to the groups that I participate in. And hopefully that's what I'll bring to your show today.
Very nice. Well, let me ask you, going from now, obviously you're not a woman that's afraid of taking a challenge, obviously. So when you started your own entrepreneurship, what was some of the fears that you had? And was there people around you that doubted you or supported you? And then how did you overcome them and map out and keep going? How did you do that?
So I really don't ever know how I do something until I've done it.
I'm with you.
And even then I don't know. It's like, how the hell did I do that? Like I just have no idea sometimes. And oh, I should ask, is this PG? Is this kid friendly? Like, should I make sure not to say, because I just said HELL?
Oh shit, no, you can say whatever you want.
This is not made for children. Okay, good.
This is you and me. This is you and me talking, and people are a fly on the wall. So say whatever you want.
Okay, cool. All right. So you're not gonna, or just bleep me out, whatever. So I really, when I started my business, I was a new mom, and I was suddenly single, and I was like afraid that I wasn't going to be able to keep the lights on. Literally, I was like, I'm going to run out of my savings, and how am I going to do this? And I never intended to be a single mom. So I'm not that single mom that everyone goes, oh my God, that's so cool that you decided to do that. I just ended up kind of being it. And I was like, okay, this is great. I got to make the most of it. And I wanted to be the kind of mother that I would have been had I not been single. So I had to come up with something that was going to provide, more than just keeping the utilities on and paying the bills. So I wanted to be the mom that could be the volunteer, the one that could be the soccer mom, the one who could, volunteer at the school and bring kids, lunch and all that kind of stuff, pick up, drop off. So I came up with this idea, and it just started as an epiphany where I had sat down, and I suggest this for everyone, actually. There's a great book out there. It's called Zen and the Art of Making a Living. I'm not sure who the author is. I can't remember, but it's a big, almost catalog book. It's huge. And basically what I did is I opened it up when my son would sleep, sometime when he'd go to bed on maybe a Tuesday and a Thursday, I would sit down, and for about, I guess probably 6 weeks, I just kind of journaled what it was that I needed to do, what I wanted my life to look like. So I had just finished my commercial pilot's ratings when I was 5 months pregnant. And so I never actually got to the part of working for an airline. I was in the place where I would have been a flight instructor. And I realized that I was never going to want to leave my son with someone else and be stuck in bad weather somewhere else or have a mechanical issue. So I had to come up with something, and I'd never made anything artistic. The only thing that I had done previously that I thought was artistic was I liked to write poetry, I liked to sing, and I liked to dance. But I'd never made anything. And so I sat down and I thought, I just kept thinking, I wish I would have held on to my money. And so for me, it came out of this epiphany of helping women hold on to their money, both figuratively and literally. How could I grow the money that I had? And so I believe that we're energetic beings here temporarily in human form. And so for me, I thought, well, I love crystals and they are a source of energy. And so I created crystal money clips for women. And so as a way to hold on to my money and help women hold on to theirs. And I went to 25 boutiques after making 300 of these money clips. And I said to them, I'm a designer, so I just made this up. I'm a designer. I mean, felt fraudulent for literally 15 years almost. And I said, I have something that I think women will love. And everybody said, oh, they're beautiful, but women don't carry money clips. And I said, you're right, they don't, but they will. And they did. So I got 12 accounts it was 2 days that I went out to those 25 boutiques. I got 12 accounts. And so that first year was all about just making money clips. And I had my son in the baby carrier and would, bring him to the boutiques. I would make the things at night while he was asleep, and then I would deliver them to the boutiques the next day. And it just kind of took off immediately. What I realized was that we all had something to give. So I didn't have time to give and I didn't have money to give, but I had this product and I wanted to help other people. So I started giving away donations to different events that were going on, different fundraisers. And so reciprocally, because that's what the universe does, when you put something out there, giving really is receiving in advance, right? So I was giving something and I was immediately getting orders all over the place. So my things were in these events and then people were ordering my things. And then celebrities were carrying my things. And so it just evolved really rather quickly and a little bit too fast. In fact, I wasn't ready or prepared for it because I had no fucking idea what I was really doing. And I was really just trying to be a mom. And so for a lot of years, I just kind of kept it as sort of this thing that provides a living for us and nice living, and a thing that, a business that allowed me to really be emotionally connected with my child and able to do all of the things that a single mother needs to do, which it's not easy no matter who you are, but wearing the role of two parents in one can be a little bit of a challenge because, you don't want to miss out or leave anything out for chance, right?
So,
And
so
so
let me just quantify this up to this point so far. You became a single mom. You worked and sweated and got your commercial pilot license, but you were 5 months pregnant. So you didn't follow, obviously, because you wanted to see it through as a motherhood. But you also had, at this point in your life, you didn't implode and fall within where people have to bake a lasagna and bring to you every night. You went ahead and found your inner courage and went forward and followed your passion. You didn't feel sorry for yourself, like, why has this happened to me? This shouldn't happen. You followed your inner passion. And instead of having that passion follow money first, you found something you loved and you even donated some of it. And the reciprocity, comes back threefold, and it paid off in spades. And you followed your dreams is what you did. You didn't have fear. So I guess one of the questions I know someone's going to ask, what crystal did you use that's the attraction to money? What was your main crystal?
Well, actually, I don't even know because I don't really know anything about crystals other than that they hold energy. Swarovski crystals. I just bought them in all different colors.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like one crystal other than Swarovski. So yes, Swarovskis is the way that I remember to say it. But literally, I started going to gem shows, like the Tucson Gem Show, because I was living in Arizona at the time. When I had my son, I moved to the desert. I'd been living in Chicago when I got my commercial pilot's ratings and was here in an engagement. And then I left here to go live in the desert. And for some reason that just worked for me. I went into like this silence with loud baby is what I like to call it. It was a process of really just trying to get grounded to figure out how could I change the story that I had in my head? Because in my head, I had a lot of anger and I had a lot of there was a lot of victimization going on in my head, this story. And I was like, I'm not buying this story. I got to figure out what role I played in this. How did I end up here in this place? And what can I do to change that story? And so I literally went into silence and, other than loud baby and talking to baby and, eliminated television. And I wasn't a big TV fan. Literally eliminated music, which is so bizarre because it's such a gift. But I eliminated all outside noise so that I could really focus in on listening to what I was thinking. So that lasted quite a while. I think my son was almost 2 years old before I ended that. And I also, on the other side of it, I want to tell you, I also went into celibacy, which was really interesting because we take away one of our senses and then suddenly all of the others are heightened. So you hear about people who have who are blind, who who can hear really amazing. Well, I had all of these other sensory things that happened in the process of that 2.5 years. And it literally just, continued me on the trajectory of understanding that I'm living a spiritual life in a human form, and that this is very temporary, and that there's something way bigger out there, and that my focus needs to be more on the development of that. So all of this to say that I started my business, I moved forward, I did not, you're right, it wasn't that I didn't have fear, I still have fear, I'm always afraid, and it's just fear in action, right?
Yep.
So just moving through that. And so I had lots of learned life lessons prior to having to step into this courage to know that I really was courageous. And I think that that's something that we can train. You can train your courage muscle by putting yourself in situations that do scare you, but that excite you, and just shifting the thought of, this is scary to this is exciting. Just that simple shift can make you look at things in a different way. And I think it's the lens through which we look that really has to be cleaned sometimes. And I think that's really a practical sort of application of, shifting something.
That's beautiful, and that's so spot on. So your advice to women out there, younger woman starting, older woman restarting, doesn't matter. Your advice to them would be, yeah, you're going to have fear. It is natural to have fear, to have doubts, but don't look at it through that lens of fear where it stagnates you and stops you. Fear, what'd you say? Fear, moving fear, or fear with action, you said? Take fear with action and push through it and overcome it, and stay in that outside part of your where you're not comfort, outside of your comfort zone. And that's where the growth, and that's where I believe, and you too, the magic happens is out there, not in our comfort zone. So get out there.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I like to think of when I think about that circle of expansion, I don't remember where it was, but I was given the idea of the universe as it expands. It's kind of hard to understand how that works, but if you think of it as a balloon that's getting bigger and bigger, the balloon is still the balloon, but the experience and the size of it is getting bigger. So when we're pushing our boundaries, and I do that, I try to permeate the boundaries of my existence. We feel like we're this finite, separate being based on what we feel is solid, when we're really just a vibration and we're constantly moving and shifting. And so I think when we consider the world around us and surrounding us as a part of our world and as a part of our actual energy state, and when we affect that state instead of be affected by it. So if there's something out there that's fear-based and we internalize that, that's a choice that we make. And it's not always a conscious choice. Sometimes it's an unconscious choice. So the less that we surround ourselves with things that are negative, that do infect our energy state, the more ability we have to expand and permeate the boundaries of what we think our existence means. And that's where we surprise ourselves. So
yeah. So you make life happen. Life happens for you, not to you. I mean, and we control that. I agree 100%. So tell me about, now, obviously, this is a nice, looking back, it's a nice pattern of how you can see how things were laid out. But I know as well, because I've been through many of these things, that it's not all, milk and honey along the way. There's a lot of bumps, a lot of doubt, a lot of dark night of the souls that people go through. So if someone had the courage to start, they're in their outside comfort zone, but they're coming across some of these hurdles, how did you overcome them, and what advice would you give to them?
So I think that there's a trust that I've begun to develop, and it's really just purely in faith. It's just knowing that I've seen this go down before, and I know the outcome already. Like I have this, and it's really become so solidified now, and it wasn't always this way. It's taken me many, many years of seeing it over and over again, and many reminders too, to go back to just foundationally knowing that it is all going to be all right. And I've had some really extreme experiences with understanding that really that line between where we are and where we end up is so thin, and it can go in any direction, and how we really have, I've felt my own ability to sort of choose which side it goes to on enough occasions. And it's not to say that lots of bad things haven't happened in my life that I've had, not really any control over, but I literally have had enough control over those split decision moments where it could have gone really, really bad and it ended up going really, really good.
Yeah.
So that's faith. And I think it's also, again, faith with action. So I like to say this too. The number one thing you have to do with faith is you have to act, right? And I like to call it a fact. It just means you have to fucking act, literally. And once you do that, so I mean, literally pushing back a bit. One of the things that I learned in flight is, obviously there's an equal and opposite reaction to every action, right? So that's one of the laws of the universe. And so you literally have to apply pressure in a direction if that's the direction you want to go, and before you can actually move in that manner. So there has to be, you can't just wish for it or think about it or create this dream in your head. You actually have to take the steps. And so everyone talks about that, but it's a literal quantum universal law that you have to act. So just remember that fact. And if you do that in a positive direction, and if you do that with, I think, an openness of your heart, and also kindness, in that you really want to do things that are going to be benefit to others as well as to yourself, with that as a moral compass, and just having, like, just foundationally figuring out, what do I value, what am I passionate about, and then just being that fully. Everybody's got a different role to play, so there's enough room for everyone. There's this idea that there's a lack of abundance and there's not enough for everyone, and really it's just, there's more than enough. It's our own limiting beliefs that keep us from actually having what is potentially ours, based on talking ourselves out of, like, having this bigger dream. So I don't know if I'm all over the place here or not, because I'm not really good at keeping it centered. I'm a big picture kind of person, but anyway.
I agree with you. I think everything we always wanted is always there. We just have to match the vibration to draw it to us. And we're our most limiting force when it comes to that. And I think maybe we ought to do a whole show on that sometime, or do a series of lessons. You got to match. Wayne Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer, he used to do the thing called the match game. If your vibration matches a certain thing, then that's what's going to be coming into your life. If you want, a pink unicorn to come in, you got to get that vibrational match, and it will show up. It's just a matter of time. So I agree with you. Well, let me ask you, we're going to have some people listen to this, and there may be some that needed to, just say you inspired one or two people, men or women, doesn't matter, and they wanted to reach out to you. I'm going to put a link to the Rebellion handbags on there if they wanted to check out your stuff. If they wanted to reach out to you, send you an email or something, is that okay if they did that?
Absolutely, that's great. I do have more of a purpose-based email list, or a place that they wanted to reach out to find out more about what it is that I'm doing in
cool.
this sort of manner. I have a movement, I guess, what I want to call is, it's called Joy Rebellion.
Joy Rebellion, okay.
Joy Rebellion, yeah, I'll give you the details for that, but it's just joyrebellion.us, and that has a link to an email list to find out more about what it is that I'm doing in this sort of work.
Oh, nice. Yeah, send it to me and I'll be sure to put that on. And it's right now, if you're taking notes, it's joyrebellion.us, right?
Yep, that's right.
Perfect, perfect. Anything else you'd like to add or mention that I didn't ask you?
Oh no, there's so many things, but we'll just talk about those in more in more time. I would like to close with just saying though that I honestly am so excited to be on your show and just to meet you. I'm going to be in Des Moines June 5th, the weekend
Oh,
of June 5th. So I definitely would love to get together and meet you one on one, brother, and see what is happening over there on your side of the world. I will be bringing lots of handbags. I'm actually probably going to do like a little trunk show. So we'll have to let your wife and daughter know.
right. I'm going to stop you at the border. No, absolutely. They would love that. They would love that. Yes, absolutely. And I'd love to have, maybe we'll collaborate on our 1 or 2 part thing and have you back and talk about, because I agree with you. I think we're spiritual beings on a small human journey that's going to go by very quick. And we get once we realize that we're all connected, it really makes a difference. And a lot of the people that I've talked with and mentored and coached over the years, they all have the same fears. I don't care if the big old grizzly bear alpha guys or a little dainty girl. They all have the same fears starting out, starting doing things. Everyone has a story. And the main thing is face the fear, overcome it, stay outside of your comfort zone and map out your dream and create your story and put yourself as the hero in that story, and you will get what you want. It has to happen. It will happen. That's the way the universe works.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for people sometimes to conceptualize is, there it worked for that person, but how can that work for me? Or I just can't come up with that thing that I'm able to do or I'm capable of doing. And so just really, I think getting centered, foundationally, figuring out a way to like be grounded in who you are and accepting of every part of you. I'm so flawed and I just try again, I screw up and I try again and just like that getting back to balance. I think that's important. I think a lot of people internalize too much of the actions they take or the mistakes they make and become that mistake and believe
Right.
that they are that thing. And we really are not. We are not perfect. We're all imperfect and we all have something to give. The universe has created each of us in a very unique way. And just finding that, like having the courage to figure out what that thing is and just moving in the direction of passion, I think is foundational. These steps that you take once you figure out what that thing is are then uh, motivated by the action and the like having fearlessness or just facing your fear over and over and over again. It's a constant thing. So I think foundationally, just getting okay with, who we are as individuals, very different and unique, each of us, and all just having a part to play in this world, I think is important. So
We all
thank you.
have our gifts and talents, right? We're supposed to deliver. So, and you're certainly delivering. So, thank you for being on. And I will make sure I put all the links in the descriptions and everything else on the YouTube and on the podcast, so they can reach out to you and look at all the stuff. And who knows where this will lead for the both of us. So, again, this is Dr. Brian. I wanted to thank you guys for listening or watching, depends on what platform you're watching us on. And again, this is another episode of the H60 Lifestyle. You guys take care and God bless. And I'll be coming at you soon. Take care.